Hey guys, hope you're well. So, in this video, I want to talk about what is mental diet and what is mental dieting. Because this is a topic that comes up a lot, and this is a term that Neville Goddard used a lot. And nowadays, this has been coming up again, where a lot of people have been asking how to use mental diet to manifest faster. So, let's get into it. Let's understand what it means, and let's understand what it means from my perspective and from what I have seen from my experience as a coach with people, how to use mental diet to manifest faster. So, first, let's understand what is mental dieting, right? Mental dieting basically means aligning your thoughts in a particular way where they are aligned with where you want to be. So, there will be many different interpretations of this, but eventually it will all revolve around the fact that there are a particular set of thoughts that you have, there are particular assumptions that you have that don't align with where you actually want to be in the end. So let's say my end goal is to be in a relationship, but my thought process does not align with that. So mental dieting basically means aligning my thought process to the version of me who would actually be in a relationship. Now, there are many misinterpretations that people have about this, and in this video, I will be clearing all of them step by step. It's important to understand that you don't have to consider this as a diet. That is why I don't like this word diet, mental dieting, because basically a diet means something that you are doing for a short period of time. Now that's the connotation that we have when someone says that I'm on a physical, like I'm on a journey of my, like I'm on a weight loss journey and I'm on a diet. Basically, what we are saying is that we are doing a particular kind of eating for a small period of time. But how we want to consider this is how we want to see that this is something for a prolonged period of time. This is something we are doing for a larger time scale. This is something that we are making a lifestyle. Because once we make something a lifestyle, if someone who you see that, who's always in shape, they will not talk about dieting in terms of dieting. They will just say that I don't eat these foods, or I just like, because they have made this a lifestyle and they have excluded a certain set of foods from their from their basically palate, right? So just taking that into account would be very helpful. So anytime that you want to manifest anything, there are a few steps that usually take place, right? So let's say I want to become someone who has money, or I want to manifest wealth, or I want to have good relationships. Eventually, what will happen is I have a thought process, I have perceptions, then I have actions, and then I have boundaries, right? All of these things in their own level have to be in alignment for me to eventually receive what I want. All of these things have to be in a particular alignment for me to get this, right? It won't work if I just keep focusing on my mental part, but my actions and my boundaries remain the same. It also won't work if I change my actions, but I'm also not changing my perceptions and my mental aspect of it, because I will keep on regularly reacting and eventually act in ways which are not really helpful. Mental dieting comes under the second part of this, which is the perception. And perception management is super crucial for you to manifest what you want. Now, the issue starts here is when we start to think that every time we have a negative thought, and this is not on you guys, this is just something that a lot of people talk about, but I have seen that it comes from half knowledge of the subject, and that is why a lot of people get into the toxic positivity mode, is that a lot of times we think that mental dieting or having a particular mental diet towards something means that I can never have negative thoughts. That is just not humanly possible, right? You having thoughts is not something that you can fully control. How you navigate through these thoughts is what matters. The issue starts when we start thinking that if I have a negative thought or if I have a negative feeling, then I am doing something wrong. And because of that, I create this environment of toxic positivity in my mind, because of which eventually, anytime I get a negative thought, I start to make a bigger deal out of it. I start to think that I'm not doing everything correctly, and it's just some perceptions that I'm not managing properly. That's all. And because of which, the thought was there, which was actually bothering me, but now my perception of how this thought is affecting me is also bothering me. And because of my perception, I'm creating this situation in my mind where I'm regularly reacting towards something I don't really have to react to, and creating these issues for myself that I don't really have to create. And eventually I end up getting into a place where I'm not able to create and not able to be in the place that I want. Our job is not about how can I stop myself from having negative thoughts, right? eventually you are a human being, which means at some point in the day you will have to sleep, at some point in the day you will have to eat. Similarly, there is a certain set of emotions that you will always have access to, right? Jealousy, envy, pain, regret, happiness, sadness, joy, peace. All of these emotions are emotions that you always have access to, right? Which means that at some point in your life, you will feel all these emotions. Just like me, just like any other person, you will always at some point get into these emotions. Now, me feeling a particular set of emotions doesn't mean that I have to dwell into it. So, for example, let's say you get to know that one of your friends got hurt or one of your friends lost a lot of money, right? Just an example. Or you got to know that someone you know is not actually doing well physically. Of course, you're going to feel bad, right? For a while at least. Of course, the instinctive reaction can be that you feel bad. Now, what we start to think when we get into manifestation is that that instinctive reaction is wrong. That's not true because that instinctive reaction is not in your full control. So the first negative thought, the first instinct that we have, which goes negatively towards something, is not really fully in our control. The first thought that pops up, if it's negative, it's because your mind is thinking, and that's okay. First, it's not about things being negative or positive, because we are creating the perception that something is negative or positive based on where we are at in our mind and what we want, right? So if we want, let's say, money, and I have a thought process that goes against it, I am calling it negative, right? Let's say someone who does not actually focus on money and just is focusing on relationships, let's say they have a thought about money, they might not call it negative in the first place. This also happens in relationships a lot. Let's say I'm someone who is right now just looking for a friends with benefits situation, right? And then I get a thought that, oh, I am right now not getting a commitment. For me, that's not a bad thing because for me, that is what I'm looking for. But let's say someone is looking for a relationship. For them, having this thought that I am not getting into a commitment can be a negative thought. So these thoughts eventually are just thoughts. They are just thoughts that are coming up. We are providing it a meaning. Now, after this thought comes up, right, that is where our mental diet comes in. Because let's say I have this thought, after I get this thought, what do I do with this thought is what will matter. Let's take the same example. Let's say I'm someone who's manifesting a relationship and I get a thought that no one commits to me, right? That can be an instinctive thought. In that moment, how I handle that thought is what matters. Now, let me tell you exactly how to handle that thought for you to actually be in a place where this becomes better. I actually have a video where I talk about resistance in detail. So you can check it out. It's linked in the bio. But here I will give you a very brief example of how to deal with it. So let's say I first got the thought that people never commit to me. Now, after I get this thought, the first instinct would be to actually mentally react because I'm feeling some feelings I don't want to feel, right? And that is why I'm actually thinking about this. So first, I will accept that, oh, I just got this thought. That's fine. I don't have to react that I got this thought. It's just an instinct. Me getting this thought is not something that is going to ruin my life. It's just a thought. Then I ask myself, from an observer's perspective, how do I look at this thought? Now, what that means is, usually what happens is I have a thought, means I am separately looking at that thought in my mind while I'm not playing a role in it. So when I'm saying I have this thought, right, means I can see this thought somewhere. I can actually see and feel its existence. It's just that I am not that thought, right? I am not someone who believes that. I'm just thinking that way, right? As soon as I start thinking that way, that's where my power is. So I can see it from an observer's perspective that, oh, I'm thinking this thought. Why must I be thinking this thought? Maybe right now I'm triggered. Maybe right now I saw something. Maybe it's just a feeling that is coming up. Maybe there is something that happened that made me react, or maybe something is coming up that is making me think about this from that capacity, right? After I tell myself that, the next thing I do is I take a few deep breaths and I tell myself, I am not this thought, which means I don't actually have to associate with it. I can feel bad for a while. That's okay. I can have some feelings which tell me I might not get what I want. That's okay. I just don't want to turn it into a dwelling session. Now, after I have changed my perception of this and looked at it from an observer's point of view, now this thought is no longer something that bothers me in a way where it is creating, because I have already disassociated myself with it. I have told myself that this thought in itself is not something that is going to guide my life, and I'm not going to let this thought affect me. It's just like, let's say I wake up and I had to go to the gym. but my plan is not working because I woke up and I'm feeling that I am like my mind is just giving me resistance, right? Now, most of the times people stop, right? But someone who actually has been into this for a while, they will tell you that these thoughts are very normal. So when this thought comes up, I look at it that, you know what, I'm getting this thought. Oh, but me getting this thought does not actually mean anything. It just means my mind is trying to stop me from going, because going would actually make me push forward. But here I'm in my comfort zone. So the best thing I would do is I would just observe that thought and I would still go to the gym. I would still act opposite, right? Just like if I have this thought that I will never get into committed relationships, I will not let that fear guide my life. I will not act on that fear. Your ability to be in alignment after that thought comes is how you actually really do mental dieting. Because what essentially happens is the first instinct might not be in your control, but you have the choice of not allowing one negative thought, one negative feeling to turn into a full-blown spiral that will later hinder your progress. So I hope this video helps you, and it helps you allow yourself to move out of these mental spirals that you allow yourself into, so that you can feel better. I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share if you like the video. The link for my one-on-one coaching, my self-help courses, and my free newsletter are in the description box below.